Hello dear students, welcome to another session of learning. Today's topic is the most beautiful poem on children by Khalil Gibran. Khalil Gibran, known to be a spiritual poet, talks about more and more of spirituality in his poems. He has, to his credit, the one and only very popular book of poems called The Prophet. The Prophet is a spiritual guru, and this one is a part of the Prophet. So here the poet, he tries to tell us how limited we should be in our possessions. We will love people so much that we hold them tight to us. Remember, there is a saying that says when you love a bird very much, you have to let it free. You have to let it free so that it flies, and you will be happy seeing it flying. So this is the message that the poet tries to give here, and though on the superficial level it appears to be a message to the parents, it is a message to each one of us. Each one of us, that we have to give ourselves, surrender ourselves to God, and not carry behind us all our possessions, our belongings, and all the beloved ones. Let us move on to the poem and then talk what the poet wants to talk about children. This poem, as I told you, it is from the collection of poems, The Prophet. The Prophet is supposed to be a book wherein the author talks about different topics like children, love, marriage, friendship, and society, parents, everything. There are many topics, and each poem has a different theme in it, different topic in it. So the poem, it starts, the story actually goes this way. When the prophet, he moves from one place to another, giving all the spiritual discourses. And at one place, he finds that there is a woman sitting in front of him with his baby held close to her chest. She has hugged the child very tightly because she loves her very much, loves the child very much. So the more she loves, she holds the baby more and more tightly, and then she speaks to the prophet, asking him to tell something about children. So in response to it, he starts the poem and he says, "My dear child, your child is not, your children are not your children. They are from the God. They are the lives longing to live." So that is how he starts. You think that they are your children, they are your possession, and that's why you hug them so tightly to your bosom. But they are not your children. They are the lives longing for itself. Life wants to live and live and live. So it is a cycle of life. It is just the chain. Life wants to live continuously. It never wants to die at all. So life and death are two contrasting things. But life doesn't want to put an end to itself. So it wants to live again and again, and that is itself is called as longing. Longing, yearning, desiring too much, very strong desire to live. And the children are born in this desire of life. Life wants to live, therefore children are born. They come through you, but not from you, is the next line. Here the poet tries to say that the children are born through the parents. Parents are not the creators. They are just a biomedia. And without God's grace, let me be very clear when I am talking about this poem. See, whenever I talk about this poem, I am talking about the two concepts, two actual variations. Next he says that they come through you but not from you. Let us understand one thing. This one can be understood in two different ways. One is the poetic language. One is the literature part of it. The second one is the spiritual part of it. So when we talk about the poem in a spiritual manner, he says, see, God is the one who creates the children, who creates life. And we are just the media through which the life comes on earth. So he says, the children who are not yours, but yet you think that they are your children, they come through you but not from you. You are not the creator of the children, but they are just the media through which you will be bringing them to the earth. So they are with you all the time, yet they do not belong to you. That's why all the time we feel that our children are ours. They are our possessions, but they do not belong to us at all. Though they are with us, they belong to somebody else and some other places. The other place here is the tomorrow. Okay, so the poet here very neatly he says, because they do not belong to you, because you have no rights at all, because you are not the creator of your children, you just give love but not your thoughts into their minds. Just love them unconditionally. Just give them all that you can, but never put your words into their mouth, your thoughts into their brain. That is impossible. So you can just give your love to your children, but never your thoughts. Once we start giving our thoughts into our beloved ones, we start overpowering them and they become helpless. They become very dependent on us. So he says, no, don't do that. Just give your love and not your thoughts. And he also says that just house their bodies but not their souls. You just have to protect their bodies, not the soul, because the soul doesn't belong to us at all. The soul belongs to life and God. So when you do not have any control over it, when you do not have any authority over it, you can't even think of controlling or you can't even think of possessing it. So just house their body, protect their bodies, but not their souls. You can never do it. You can never ever think of protecting their souls. And he continues to say that the children are more smarter. The future generations are more smarter than the previous generations. Says, they dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot even visit in your dream because they belong to tomorrow. They are not today's children, they are tomorrow's children. And we are all today's. We, in the sense the parents, we are today's children and our children are tomorrow. So they dwell, they have their house, their future, their views, their dreams, everything is in tomorrow. And that tomorrow, we can't even see. We can't even see it in our dreams. At least in our dreams, we can't see how their children, how our future generations think about. So, the poet advises the parents and the mother sitting over there that strive to be like them, seek not to make them like you. Strive, struggle hard, work hard on to be like them. We should love, we should want to be like our children. They are very, very cool, careless, bindas, not worried about anything, not too much tensed about acquiring money, property, saving it for the next 7 generations. Our children are very, very cool. They want to live the life at that moment. So the poet advises the elders, the previous generations, especially the parents, to struggle hard to be like them. They are fast, they are furious, they are knowledge, they are quick in thinking, and they just love themselves. So let us all learn to be like our children, but do not seek to make them like you. Do not make them to be like you. The parents have a very bad habit of talking, when I was that old, when I was this old, in my days, when I used to go to school. Gone are those days. Those days are gone, they're finished, they are all closed chapters. And therefore he says, life moves on, not tarries with around yesterday. Tarries with yesterday at all. Tarry means to, let us learn a new word. It means linger around. Linger means to move around. It does not move around. It does not carry over whatever has happened yesterday. Life just goes on. It does not stay with yesterday and move around the same place. So, whenever parents say, when I was young, when I was of your age, I used to work hard, I used to earn so much of money and I never had bag, I never had books. Yes, yeah. Our parents also never had money as much as your parents have now. So that comparison never comes. Even your parents, even the parents of these generations, they have much more comfort than the parents of the yesteryears. That is submissed. That is not seen at all. That they only talk about the hardship. So the poet says, life just moves on. So don't even talk about all these things. Don't seek to make your children like you. Just go get along with them. because life moves forward and not backward at all. It can never go back. Life, river, like how we have read in Borges, life and river, they are two metaphors. They just move in the forward direction, not reverse directions at all. So it just goes along with, and can never come back. So he says, don't think too much about your children. Think more than thinking about the children, think it in a spiritual way. He says, see, you are the bows and children are the living arrows, and he is the archer. He here refers to God. God is given as he. He is the archer and we, the parents, are the bows, while our children are the arrows. They are the living arrows. The archer's work is to set a target. He sees the infinite path, the path that never ends. He knows in which path the child has to move. He knows that only talks, talking about spiritually, he understands that every child has his own destiny, has his own goal, has his own path to travel. So, the path for the God, for every child, for every individual, he has set a definite and an infinite path. He knows that the path is meant for that person, for that child. So, he wants to, he holds the arrow, he lets the arrow go swift and far in that infinite path. He has decided what has to happen to the person, where he has to earn his living, where he has to live, and how he has to meet his end. So, everything is destined. So, we have to strongly believe in destiny. Once our life is destined, this one, will be free of all kinds of tension. God sees the path. He throws the arrow in that direction. He wants the arrow to go swift, very fast and very far. For this, he uses us, the parents, as bows. So, our bending, we have to bend in the hands of the archer so that our children, that is the arrows, they move very far and they go and hit the infinite path in the proper place, proper target. So, for this, we have to act as the bows. Therefore, the poet concludes, so you have to be happy. So, let your bending be for gladness. When you know your life is also, it also has a destiny, it is destined, you also have a destination, and we also are born, the parents are also born with a kind of purpose in life. So, our purpose is only to let the arrows that have come through us, let those arrows reach their destination. We have to help the arrows reach that. So, let us all bend in the hands of our archer, that is God, and let it be for gladness. Happily you need to bend. You don't have to crib, you don't have to grumble at all. Because finally he concludes, because he loves the arrow that flies, the arrow, that dart that reaches the target is loved by everyone. So, the archer loves his arrow and at the same time he loves the bow that is very stable. He loves both of them, the arrow and the bow. So, he loves this arrow that flies and the bow that is stable. So, this is the truth of life. Why do you have to grumble? Why do you have to struggle? So, think that your children are just with you. They have been sent to you by God as God's messenger to be taken care of. So, when we understand all these things, our life does not become miserable at all. We have to keep these things in mind, both the parents and everyone else. We have to understand this and help the arrows fly to higher heights, fly and reach a perfect target.